Imagine a hospital, not just any hospital, but one so vast and renowned that even Hollywood's A-listers flocked there for their most private treatments. America's top celebrities, think Oscar winners, chart-topping musicians, and tech billionaires, entrusted their lives to this beacon of medical excellence. It stood like a gleaming monolith against the Los Angeles skyline, a fortress of cutting-edge science and luxury care. But could you ever fathom such a place, where the elite sought salvation from illness and injury, being cursed? Haunted by something far darker than disease? I'm talking about Evergreen Memorial Hospital. Yes, this very institution has been whispered about as haunted for years. And it's not some tabloid rumor. One of the hospital's own board members went public in her explosive press conference, spilling secrets that chilled the nation. Staff members came forward too, their voices trembling in anonymous interviews. They claimed that in certain executive suites, where high-profile donors and administrators once held court, eerie rituals had been uncovered. Artifacts of the occult were unearthed from beneath the polished marble floors. During a routine renovation in 2018, workers dug up no fewer than 8 antique urns buried deep under the administrative wing. Inside, human bones, tangled locks of hair, desiccated remains, mingled with herbs, candles, and symbols etched in what looked like blood, items straight out of a forbidden grimoire, tools for black magic and summoning the damned. Now, I have a question for the skeptics among you. Those who scoff at ghosts, spirits, and sorcery. The ones who proclaim, it's all bunk. We believe in science, in evidence, in what's tangible. What do you say now? A hospital, America's premier medical marvel, where the world's top surgeons and specialists ply their trade. That very hospital admitted to the media that dark sorcery had infiltrated its halls. Doctors, those paragons of rationality, dismiss the supernatural with clinical precision. Tell them you hear voices, and it's auditory hallucinations. Claim a spectral figure stalks the midnight streets, and it's sleep deprivation or schizophrenia. Insist your loved one is possessed, and they'll diagnose dissociative identity disorder or epilepsy. Every eerie encounter has a DSM label. But what happens when such a bastion of science, one patronized by the glitterati, confesses that black magic was woven into its very foundation? The occult lurks in the unlikeliest corners. And today's tale ties directly to this haunted edifice. This story transports us back to 2015, when a young man's life shattered like fragile glass. His name was Alex Thompson, a senior at Lincoln High in South Los Angeles. Bright-eyed, ambitious, always at the top of his class. His teachers raved about his potential, his family pinned their hopes on him. They weren't wealthy, lower middle class, scraping by in a cramped apartment in a gritty neighborhood. But Alex's dreams soared high, fueled by relentless grit. He juggled AP classes, a part-time job at a local diner, and late-night study sessions, all with an eye on Ivy League scholarships. Then came that fateful evening. As Alex trudged home from his after-school tutoring session, a luxury SUV barreled through a red light, slamming into him with bone-crushing force. The world spun in a blur of headlights and screeching tires. Miraculously, the driver, affluent tech executive named Victor Hale, stopped, his face pale with shock. He bundled the bleeding teen into his vehicle and raced to the nearest elite facility, Evergreen Memorial Hospital. Alex clung to life, his pulse thready but persistent, with doctors giving him solid odds for recovery. In there, chaos reigned. Nurses swarmed, monitors beeped like frantic heartbeats, and the metallic tang of blood hung in the air. Alex was rushed into surgery for internal injuries, then stabilized in the ICU. His cousin, Nathan Rivera, who worked as a nurse in the very same ward, got the call and hurried over. Nathan, 5 years older, had always been the family underachiever, dropped out of community college, bounced between dead-end jobs before landing this gig through sheer luck. He hovered by Alex's bedside, his expression a mask of concern. Treatment progressed under the hospital's sterling care. Victor Hale, racked with guilt, footed the entire bill, no expense spared. After a week in ICU, Alex was transferred to a private room on the 5th floor, overlooking the twinkling city lights. 3 more days of observation, and he was discharged with painkillers, physical therapy instructions, and a clean bill of health, or so it seemed. But that's when the shadows crept in. Even during his hospital stay, Alex had whispered complaints to his father, Mark. "Dad, at night, I hear something. Whispers in the dark, right by my ear. Like a woman's voice, cold and mocking." Mark, a weary mechanic with calloused hands and a pragmatic soul, brushed it off. "It's the meds, son. Morphine plays tricks on the mind. You'll shake it off. Home in their dim apartment, the real nightmare unfolded. It started with sleep paralysis, those agonizing episodes where Alex would jolt awake, body frozen, eyes wide with terror. He'd scream into the silence, "She's here. She's going to kill me, Dad. Please make her stop." He'd stare at the peeling wallpaper, pointing at empty corners where he swore a shadowy figure loomed. A woman in tattered white, her face obscured by matted hair, eyes burning like coals. At first, the family chalked it up to trauma. Concussion side effects, PTSD from the accident. Mark and Alex's mother, Elena, a housekeeper at a nearby motel, consulted their GP, who prescribed anti-anxiety meds. But the episodes escalated, turning the modest home into a house of horrors. Alex's demeanor darkened. He grew paranoid, barricading his door with furniture, muttering about the lady from the hospital, who followed him. One stormy night, as thunder rattled the windows, he lunged at Elena with wild eyes, accusing her of being one of them. "You're her. You want to drag me back." Nathan, visiting for a family dinner, intervened, pinning Alex down and administering a sedative from his work kit. "It's just the head injury," Nathan insisted, his voice steady but his hands trembling. "Hallucinations. I've seen it in patients before." Elena wasn't convinced. A devout Catholic, she sensed something unholy at play. Whispers of Evergreen's haunted reputation had reached her, tales of patients who left, changed, plagued by visions. She lit candles to saints, sprinkled holy water in Alex's room, but the boy only worsened. They resorted to restraints, tying him to his bed with soft belts for his safety. The apartment echoed with his pleas, "Dad, untie me, it burns. She's scratching at my skin." Mark's resolve crumbled each time. He'd loosen the bonds, only for Alex to bolt into the night, barefoot and screaming through the rain-slicked streets, "Help me! She's coming, she'll devour my soul." Neighbors gossiped behind drawn curtains. Some crossed themselves, murmuring about possessions. Others called child services, fearing abuse. The building's superintendent threatened eviction. One elderly resident, Mrs. Gonzalez, pulled Elena aside. "That boy, he's got the devil in him. I saw it once in my village. You need an exorcist, not a doctor." The air in the apartment grew thick, oppressive. Strange occurrences plagued the family, doors slamming shut on windless nights, lights flickering like Morse code from the grave, and a pervasive chill that no heater could dispel. Elena swore she heard faint laughter echoing from Alex's room, a feminine cackle that raised gooseflesh. Mark, ever the rationalist, blamed faulty wiring, but doubt gnawed at him. Then came the bloodiest incident. In the dead of night, Alex broke free again. They found him in the bathroom, slashing at his arms with a razor, carving crude symbols into his flesh. "She's making me do it," he sobbed as they bandaged him. "The woman from the ward, she says I belong to her now." Nathan arrived, summoned by a frantic call, and injected him with another dose. "Clozapine," he explained. "It's for severe psychosis. Trust me, I'm a professional." But trust eroded like sand. Elena delved into online forums, reading horror stories about Evergreen. Whispers of a cursed history, founded on old burial grounds, plagued by unexplained deaths. Patients vanishing from beds, only to reappear catatonic. Staff suicides in the basement morgue. And those urns, unearthed relics of a secret society that once met in the hospital's underbelly, practicing rituals to cheat death. Alex's visions grew vivid, cinematic in their terror. He described the apparition in harrowing detail. A gaunt woman in a soiled nurse's uniform from decades past, her skin pallid and veined like cracked porcelain, lips curled in a perpetual sneer. "She floats above my bed," he'd whisper, whispering curses. "Says the hospital awakened her, and now she's hungry for the living." The family sought help from a priest, Father Ramirez, who performed a blessing. Incense smoke curled like serpents, but Alex thrashed against his bonds, speaking in a voice not his own, guttural, ancient. "You cannot banish what is bound," it rasped. Father Ramirez fled, pale as a ghost, muttering about true evil. Desperation mounted. Mark pawned family heirlooms for a private investigator, piecing together Alex's hospital stay. Surveillance footage showed nothing amiss, but one nurse confided off record, "That floor, it's got a bad vibe. People hear things. See things." One fog-shrouded dawn, the unthinkable happened. Elena rose early for work, only to find Alex's door ajar. Inside, his body dangled from the ceiling fan, a makeshift noose of bedsheets around his neck. His eyes bulged in eternal terror, tongue lolling, walls smeared with frantic scratches, marks that formed words. "She took me." The family wailed in grief. Neighbors clustered outside, some claiming they heard unearthly shrieks in the night. Tabloids sensationalized it. Haunted hospital claims another victim? Rumors swirled that the spirit of Evergreen had followed Alex home, driving him to madness and self-destruction. Police arrived, flashing badges and condolences. Detective Sarah Langford, a no-nonsense veteran with a scar across her cheek from a long-ago bust, took charge. Despite the family's pleas for a quiet burial, she insisted on an autopsy. "Standard procedure," she said, her eyes steely. Days later, in her cluttered office amid stacks of case files, Detective Langford summoned Mark. "Mr. Thompson, your son wasn't killed by any ghost. This was murder, poisoned by a flesh and blood monster." The toxicology report revealed lethal levels of hallucinogens in Alex's system. Not just any drugs, overdoses of clozapine, a potent antipsychotic that, when abused, induces nightmarish delusions, paranoia, and suicidal impulses. It warps reality, conjuring phantoms that feel all too real, pushing the victim to the brink. Who had access to such a controlled substance? Who had been administering injections? The finger pointed squarely at Nathan. Confronted in an interrogation room, Nathan crumbled like a house of cards. At first, he denied it, sweat beading on his brow under the harsh fluorescent lights. But evidence mounted, hospital logs showing missing vials, eyewitnesses spotting him lingering in Alex's room, and traces of the drug in syringes from his apartment. "Why?" Mark demanded, voice breaking through the one-way glass. Nathan's confession spilled out in a torrent of bitterness. Jealousy, that green-eyed serpent, had festered since childhood. Alex, the golden boy, straight A's, scholarships on the horizon, family praise lavished like gold. Nathan? The screw-up, the one aunts and uncles whispered about. "Why can't you be more like Alex?" they'd say. His nursing job at Evergreen was his one shot at respect, but even there he toiled in obscurity while Alex's future gleamed. Hatred brewed into a toxic plan. Starting in the hospital, Nathan slipped microdoses into Alex's fore, whispering suggestions during vulnerable moments to plant seeds of fear. At home, the injections escalated, crafting a symphony of horror that mimicked possession. He fueled the family's superstitions, knowing they'd blame the supernatural rather than suspect kin. Alex's death wasn't spectral vengeance. It was cold, calculated fratricide, masked as the macabre. Nathan was arrested, his license revoked, his life unraveling in a prison cell. Evergreen Memorial faced lawsuits and scrutiny, its haunted lore amplified by the scandal. But for the Thompsons, no justice could mend the void. And that is the tale of Alex Thompson. The moral? Not every chill down your spine signals the otherworldly. Sometimes, the true horrors wear human faces, jealousy festering like rot, betrayal sharper than any blade. Blind faith in ghosts can blind us to the predators in our midst. Often, science, and unvarnished truth, holds the key to salvation.